Good morning. I'm out in my garden. It's September 3rd, 2023, Tuesday, just after Labor Day here in the US. What you're looking at is my crazy amount of passion flower that came this year. Oh, they're so pretty, these flowers, if you haven't ever seen passion flower. The bees are so happy with me. I planted this passion flower, it's got to be 2-3 years ago now, and it just has gone crazy in here. It's literally like I'm in a wall of passion flower, which I'm fine with. Here's one of my other beds. There's some corn behind me. This is gem corn. I can't wait to take some pictures of that when it's just about ready. It's getting there. And I've got a few other beds back there, which I'll maybe entertain you with at another time. But I wanted to come into the garden for today's little message because it's a new moon in Virgo, one of our earth signs. Not any earth sign, but our specifically mutable earth sign, which is when we are generally shifting from one season to another when we are talking about the mutable signs. So I'm just going to take a seat here. Hopefully this is, well, you don't mind me being in the shadows of my passion flower, but the sun is kind of coming on me as well. Anyway, we had a new moon in Virgo yesterday. It was at 11 degrees Virgo. So what are new moons? Always about the opportunity for a new beginning. Particularly when we have new moons in mutable signs, to me it always feels like we, are in a shift. So it's not like the new beginning, like you imagine, like, okay, let's start this, and run. When I think of mutable, it's a time of making some changes. It's where we need to be a little bit more flexible with ourselves and get ready for another chapter. And I really feel this strongly when we come to Virgo season. In particular, this Virgo season, because we've got eclipses this month. We are going to be dealing with Pluto moving into a new sign in the next couple months, right after pretty much the eclipse season. So it is a time that we're getting ready for new beginnings, but there's things we need to do, let go of, set up, and arrange for us to do that. And Virgo season is the best time to do that, especially on a new moon in Virgo. So we're still in the first 24 hours. Just to note, when it comes to new moons, it's a great time to set intentions, pen to paper. Literally writing down 5 to 10 intentions, preferably in one area of life. It could and would be great if it happens to be related to Virgo topics. So Virgo topics tend to be about our health, our routines, our rituals, our mind-body connection. How are we of service, to the world? Organization, bringing order to chaos. It's very much that kind of energy. So if you know any Virgos, they are the great experts at perfecting things and editing things. They will see what's wrong with the picture, and they will know how to bring it to a more perfected form. So, and it is Earth, and I love this part of the season because this is a time when our gardens are in full bloom, like my corn here. So, so that's the first thing I wanted to just sort of describe about this. But I think there's more for us to look at. Virgo season is also, as it is that it coordinates with usually the start of school for most of us. And it's new rituals, new habits, new routines. We're leaving the summer, that Leo energy where we're fully self-expressed, that Gemini energy where we're out and about making friends and networking and, focusing and prioritizing fun. When it comes to Virgo, it's now time to bring some order to our lives. And many of us by this time are actually usually ready for that because we can start feeling, some exhaustion from the lack of schedule, the trying to fit in as much as we can, into the summer before it ends. So there's a bit of that energy usually going on. But I thought I would just invite you to really consider a new structure for yourself. What would be a new, I think this is a time, because Pluto is getting ready to shift. And as I started talking about in my previous video about, it's a good time to reflect on what's been going on in your life and how you've changed, how your life has changed since 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn. It's only going to be in Capricorn until November, and then it's gone for the rest of our lives. It's going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So it's a good time to also start thinking about, what do you want this next 20-year cycle to look like for yourself? And for much of us, when it comes to Pluto, it's going to come into a new part of our astrological chart and focus there. It depends on the system that you use. If it's whole house systems, we're just looking at a whole house. And each house in your astrological chart represents a different area of your life. I've explained in many of my videos, I'm a Capricorn rising, so this has been an experience since 2008 where it's about my identity, my physical appearance, the lens in which I see life through, as well as how people see me. When I walk out the door, has been shifting for the last, God only knows how, 16 years. And so what does this look like as we're getting ready for this next chapter? Well, I think for many of us, especially coming out of these COVID years, something I've noticed, particularly since I've been back in the United States, is addiction really on the rise for a lot of people. And these addictive patterns we can get into. And I don't just mean the obvious. You're going to get to hear, hopefully, some bees around my head, I hope. There's a couple flying around me right now. I hope you get to hear them. Anyways, I'll try to be quiet when they do come by because I think it's such a relaxing sound to hear the bees. Back to what I was saying. So it's a time where we're going to need to kind of step it up with ourselves and our health and our well-being. That's what Virgo season is about. It is about our health, focusing on our day-to-day habits and, routines and rituals. So it's generally a good time to do that. But I think it's a good time to broaden that context to what changes have been wanting you and you have been wanting that you have not been willing to step forward with. I think addiction is one of these major things for a lot of us. Many of us, all of us, I think, have addictive tendencies as humans. We don't like change. We do like ritual. And sometimes that ritual can be unhealthy because we take it too far, or we don't know when enough is enough. Or we're not wanting to deal with harder things, and so we're choosing to sort of numb or comfort in these ways that keep us sort of from addressing what is coming at us. And so what could addiction look like? It could be being on social media incessantly. It could be the mindless scroll, that's some way you're trying to kind of calm down from the day, but you're actually stimulating yourself. It could be obvious substance use, abuse, misuse. I think alcohol is something that many of us really need to be looking at. It's a neurotoxin and poison, quite frankly, as much as it is socially acceptable in our culture. That doesn't make it right, and I think that's what makes it particularly complicated. We've got marketing and advertising, particularly around the summer. Most of us, when we're on the beach, have an alcoholic drink aside, us in those photos that we take. It's very, very much around us. And, obviously with the legalization of marijuana as well, I think we can take these things and abuse them or misuse them. For me, I when I think of like plants as an example, marijuana being one of them, I try to, as you can see me here, surrounded by plants. They're one of my first loves. I want to respect them and appreciate them and ask for their guidance and wisdom in the way that they are here and were here before I was. And what is their particular medicine? It's one of the best ways I've learned about medicine is through working directly with plants. So let's just use marijuana as an example, as a plant. When we use something, it's different than respecting something or exploring with something or working with a plant in a particular way that helps bring some consciousness to it, where the plant can actually offer you a message. But when we get into mindless habit, where we use a substance over and over again, especially in the ways that Western medicine has taught people to take medicine, which is, here's your prescription, take it every day, until unlimited time. A lot of the times there's usually, other than like antibiotics and certain particular medicines, most times there's no end date on when you're meant to stop taking them. And that degrades the relationship between us and what we are taking in, what we are looking to work with that substance with, so there's a lack of consciousness, basically. And especially when it comes to a pharmaceutical drug, we're not actually talking about a plant anymore. Usually there might be some plant-related extract that's involved with the drug, but generally speaking, you can't make money off of plants and nature in this way. So it's usually some form of synthetic version when pharmaceuticals are created, because that's the only way they can be patented. You can't patent nature. So, and I'm not looking to digress there. I really actually want for people to get that it's a big reason why the pharmaceutical industry is what it is it goes to plants for the intelligence information to see how it works with humans, and then they go on looking for synthetic ways, to be able to create a drug that they can then, go to market with, etc. So what I'm getting at is, for instance, in Oregon right now, if you don't know, they've legalized all kinds of drugs and hallucinogenic plants. And again, a lot of these are even being used in clinical settings, particularly, psilocybin in the support of PTSD, and amazing effective studies, and I'm all for that. However, as I had a conversation with a good friend who is out there and, involved with this scene, it is just so easy for humans to take something and go to the nth degree with it, which is generally not healthy. Like I think one of the hardest things for humans to do is to stay in that moderation place. We are run by dopamine hits and are needing to have adrenaline hits and these things that, we believe keep us alive, that, that excitement keeps us alive, but we're abusing our own system every time we do that. And, as I'm hearing, for instance, just whether it's like Burning Man or, and I'm not knocking anybody who participates in these activities, especially if you've had phenomenal experiences or specifically around creativity. But generally what I hear about or see is a lot about the major drug use in these scenes. And that's everybody's prerogative. I think actually experimenting, there's nothing wrong with experimenting. But it very quickly can get out of hand. And we start using the excuse of legality as an excuse to abuse plant medicine, substances in general. So I thought I would bring that up because I think a lot of us feel a lot of permission around alcohol, that it's very socially acceptable, and it's a tough line, it is, we call it spirits for reasons, it is a depressant. It is something that, as I said, is a neurotoxin. It is going to slowly degrade this brain over time with repeated use. And it doesn't really take that much use for that to start happening. So we are living in a time where we are in an epidemic of anxiety and depression and insomnia. And you're only going to hear, and even, just, weight issues, obesity, like all of these things that are just, to me, signs of how much we have disconnected from our sources. And marketing, unfortunately, has really infiltrated. I've been raised in marketing, food marketing, drug marketing, cigarette marketing, alcohol marketing. we're surrounded by it. They try to make it all very sexy, and trust me, I'm just as happy to sit and have a drink every here and there with my friends and relax and enjoy it. But more and more and more, especially as I'm aging, I'm seeing the not so great effects of it, even in light use. It's particularly for those of us that are middle-aged women, it starts to get really hard to have alcohol in the system because of the hormonal shifts. And I think that's a part of us getting wiser, is letting go of these things and allowing ourselves to be more connected to ourselves instead of connected to the substances that are altering us. Remembering that we can alter us, and we can alter us through all types of habitual changes and lifestyle changes. And so I'm coming back to, the new moon in Virgo. This is a real time to think about, because our first eclipse is in 2 weeks on the full moon, which is, about a little over 2 weeks from today. And that is a south node eclipse. That's going to be around releasing something, letting something go. And there's other planetary stuff going on right now that I would talk about. We've got Saturn is squaring Jupiter right now. So that does make that expansion is going to be kind of held back in certain ways, but also our restrictions are going to be, having our need to expand. Those two kind of like a push and pull relationship between, expanding and contracting and pulling back. And I think that's actually helpful energy. So we don't move ahead too fast, but also we don't get too restrictive with ourselves in our approach to change and new beginnings. So so I invite you, when I think of Virgo and I think about ritual, I started a Instagram account called, it's the Cosmic Garden. The handle is In a Cosmic Garden. A big part of what I focus on in there monthly is ritual. And what is ritual really about? Because ritual is, to me, one of the quickest and easiest ways for us to connect to the natural world. It's one of the easiest ways to connect to our bodies and our own rhythms. And in a time of change, I find it to be one of the most grounding things. And that's why Virgo rules this. It's an earth sign that helps us ground through our ritual experience. And so I am inviting you to consider some new rituals for yourself. Maybe not rituals you've done in the past. Maybe new rituals, trying something different. And it doesn't have to mean over ritualizing your life or over organizing your life. I actually don't think that that's that helpful. I think we need to create structure and organization to allow us to have more freedom and flow. When we have structures, we know our bounds, our boundaries. And so because of that, we can move more freely within it. And so I invite you to do that. So we are within the new moon was last night at 9:53-ish, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Eastern time. So super early this morning. And the first 24 hours, are the most potent. So I would encourage you to write down some intentions. Intentions are 5 to 10 intentions. Pen to paper, you want to keep them in the same line of thinking. So if it's going to be about health or rituals or lifestyle stuff, you want to stick with 5 different intentions that surround that idea versus something over here about money, something over here about relationships, something here about health. Stick with one topic, and my recommendation would be even to consider the topic that's related to the new moon and the sign of the new moon, in this case Virgo, and this lifestyle stuff and ritual stuff. So you write those intentions down, and then it's about working with those rituals this month and setting them up and taking action around that. To me, this is a time where we need to take action around where we have not taken action before. And it's not about taking the right action or, doing the right thing. It's about just doing something. Many of us probably have felt a bit frozen in certain aspects of our life where we don't know how to move forward, feeling a bit confused. There's a lot of Neptunian energy, going on as well with it. Neptune's at 29 degrees in Pisces, just as Capricorn is at 29 degrees. I'm sorry, Pluto is at 29 degrees Capricorn. So we have two 29 degreeers right now. This is like a real conversation, is that like we're at the end of something and we're moving into something new, but when Neptune's involved, it can be very foggy. We can be like, we're in a dream-like state. So we need to do things to help bring us back down to reality, and that's why I like the earth seasons to help us do that. Whether we're literally planting food, around ourselves and connecting with the natural world, even just coming out and sitting in the sun in the morning, listening to the birds, or you can still hear the insects, this is a way we can align our own rhythm and energetic vibration with that of nature to remind us who we really are and what we actually need. And actually make it a beautiful, fun experience. It doesn't have to be torturous. And that's what I'm inviting us, is to let it be easy. Let change be easy, rather than whatever story you're telling yourself in your head about not wanting to change. The truth is, most of us are at a point where it's too exhausting to stay exactly where we've been. We just are over it, whatever that is for you. I just have been hearing that a lot. I'm like, I am just done with this, or I'm over this thing. And that's a great experience to have, because then that's going to help propel you into the next chapter that a lot of times it's not easy for humans to jump into new chapters. So just like today is a new chapter for all of you who have children going to school. If I were a parent, I'd be a mushy mess today, just at the, reflection of time passing and how much our children are growing just in a summer from one school year to the next. So, I really am sending lots of love and comfort to your hearts as time continues to move. But we also have control over how we experience that, how we experience and react to the passing of time, to the events that happen to us, with us, through us. That's up to us. And I find that the more connected to ourselves we are, the more connected to our planet and that which sources us we are, the more easy we are able to accept change. Because, everything that's surrounding me right now quite literally was a seed, basically, in the beginning of the year. And now it's completely different. And eventually I'm going to have to pull all this down and cut it back and prepare for next year. And it's why I garden. It helps me stay in rhythm with where nature's at. And so I don't lose sight of that. So for you, it could be a ritual of a walk in the morning, of getting out and just meeting the sun for 5 minutes in the morning to just remember it's a new day, it's a new way. It could be, having a particular tea in the morning, like passion fruit or passion flower tea, which I'm surrounded by here. And I'll show you before I exit this video, just some of the flowers. So that's all. That's what I got for y'all today. I really hope my friend Miley is going to start barking, and then we'll have a little orchestra barking. So I'm going to end this soon, or now I should say. But I wanted to wish you a happy new moon. Take the time to write those intentions. I will show you some flowers. This is passion flower here. I don't know if you can see because I've got the sun there. And here's more. The ants love it. The bumblebees love it. Passion flower is wonderful for the heart and anxiety, sleep, relaxation. It's passion flower. And we also have passion fruit. This is the fruit right here. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm not even really sure when it's completely ripe, because when I've opened them, they're white. So if you happen to be a passion flower expert, let me know. But here's more of it, it vines. And then there's some nasturtiums. These are edible, by the way. These are great companion plants, as are marigolds. Here's another nasturtium. Aren't they gorgeous? And then one of my other favorite plants is holy basil. Those of you that like Tulsi tea, that's where that comes from. And then behind me, I have gem corn. I'm excited for that one. It's going to be I don't know if you'll be able to see much, but this is a kind of corn that's got, yeah, it's probably too hard for you to see, but it'll be rainbow. It's a Native American. I'm excited to see what they actually look like because I think I have 2 different varieties in here. So anyway, I'll share that when I get to maybe a little bit closer to the end of harvest season. But I'm wishing you a very Virgo time of year. Enjoy. There's my other beds back there. I don't know if you can see them. Lots of flowers and perennials, and hopefully some tomatoes and cucumbers that'll finish growing and ripening for the season. All right, sending you lots of love. Happy new moon.